What's up, trigger pullers? Thanks for swinging by. I sure do appreciate it. If this is your first time with Fit and Fire, thanks for checking things out. That is amazing. You didn't have to click on this video, but you did, and I sure do appreciate it. So let's get right on into this video. We're talking about training, and I think it's something that isn't really talked about very much in the YouTube world, and I think that we should do a better job at promoting different companies that we are experienced with training. So that's what I always like to do. If I go out and train with somebody, I always like to try to highlight my experience with that instructor, and I think that that's something that is extremely beneficial, especially to us right now, is the fact that I think that we are really in the golden age of the firearms community. Yes, there is a major fight to keep our Second Amendment rights sacred as they are right now and not infringed on any further, but on the same token, we also are benefiting on a plethora, if you will, of instructors out there that are providing really solid instruction. So I've been able to train with the likes of Daniel Shaw and James Yeager and Ken Smith of Provictus Group, and here recently I've been able to train with Sns Training Solutions, and that's who this video is about. So let's kind of dive into it a little bit and talk about my experiences and what they offer, and see what you guys think as well. So Sns Training Solutions is a company based out of the Kansas City area, which is fairly local to me. I don't have a problem driving to good training if I think it's going to be very beneficial to me. I've driven 11 hours to go train at Tactical Response, so that's not an issue with me. But one of the really cool things that I liked about Sns Training Solutions is the fact that they're bridging a gap in the firearms training world where they can provide really good quality instruction at a really affordable price. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the price is because, you know, depending on when you watch this video, the cost may change a little bit, may flux a little bit. So I will leave a link to their website down in the description below so you guys can go check out when their training is available and the cost and all that jazz. But I will tell you, you more than likely will spend more money on your ammunition than you will on the training. And let me tell you, these guys are rock solid when it comes to their instruction. So the guys that I trained with is Tyler and Parker. Those two guys were a lot of fun. Not only did they make the course fun, cracking jokes every once in a while, but also their instruction was really focused. So they didn't ramble on about nuances or you know, this one time when I was whatever. It wasn't anything like that. They were really focused on what's going on. So let's get into the training that they offer. They offer a number of different courses, and the two that I wanted to touch on is their Defensive Pistol 1 and 2. Now, Defensive Pistol 1 and 2 are, again, going to be a little bit different than what a lot of people are used to. Typically, if you take a defensive pistol course, it's going to be a single block of instruction over an entire day, about an 8-hour course. What these guys have done to kind of help people not take up an entire day or whatever the case may be is they've broken their instruction into two courses: Defensive Pistol 1 and Defensive Pistol 2. Now, Defensive Pistol 1 is going to focus in on all of the fundamentals. Maybe you are not as skilled with a firearm, maybe you're new to the firearms world, maybe you're just not very confident. And what they're going to do is kind of help build that confidence. They're going to teach you sight picture, sight alignment, grip, stance, just getting used to manipulating a firearm and putting rounds on target. So it is going to be a very introductory type of course, but it is still fairly beneficial, especially for individuals who may be new to carrying a firearm. Now, they didn't invite me to that course because they felt that my skills were far more advanced than what Defensive Pistol 1 would be, and just, you know, more or less take up some time that I could use focusing on anything else. So what they did do is invite me to come out to Defensive Pistol 2 and allow me to go through that course. Now, full disclosure and transparency, I didn't pay for the course. Not that it was expensive anyway, I could have paid for the course, but they invited me to come out just to check things out. So I wanted to share that with you guys to make sure that you guys understood that I did get this course for free, and I'm doing a video to give you my thoughts on it. So Defensive Pistol 2 starts off the day with, you know, your normal thing, introductions to the instructor, and then we introduce ourselves in the group to make sure that, you know, we understand who we're shooting next to. We had a large variety of individuals to include law enforcement people, we had some competition shooters, we had just regular Joes that wanted to brush up on their skills. We had one individual who had gone through Defensive Pistol 1 and was going into Defensive Pistol 2, so they're still trying to build their confidence. And then individuals like me, who's just a YouTube guy carrying a camera around, whatever the case may be. But needless to say, we had a wide variety of people, a spectrum, if you will, of people in the course. And that was really nice because we could feed off of other people's experiences and see what they're doing opposed to what we're doing to kind of help build those foundations as well. The very first thing, obviously, we talk about is range safety and range etiquette. Not something that you guys wouldn't see in any other course, so I'm not going to dig into it too deep. But one of the really great things was a fundamentals refresher, and that's something I really like to see in training courses. If this is a Defensive Pistol 2 or a higher level than just your introduction type of courses, I really like to see some type of refresher. Now, when I did take the Tactical Response Defensive Pistol course last year, they did do that for the second day because it's a 2-day course. You work on all your stuff on day 1, and then day 2, when you get back out to the range, you go through a little bit of a refresher, and that is, I think, a really key to benchmark the type of instruction you're getting. So good on you guys for that. And the way that they do that is by utilizing dot drills, which is something that I'm not overly unfamiliar with, I guess. And then the other thing that they did was what they called the trigger stripe. And that is something I've never done before, and I really, really, really liked it. And what it is basically a target on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And then you have 2 rectangles on either side with about a 1-inch strip in between. And the point is to aim and fire about 10 rounds in the center of that stripe, in that 1-inch section. Now, what that does for you is it provides immediate response, immediate feedback to not only the shooter, but the instructor on what they need to work on as far as the fundamental goes. If you're hitting into the rectangles to the left or right, then you know that there's a trigger squeeze problem. And then if there's a vertical line of targets in the center stripe, then there's a sight picture or a breathing issue as well. So I really liked that aspect of it. The next thing that we worked on was draw stroke. And not only by just drawing the weapon, but doing so in cadence. You know, you should have a cadence where it's, you know, 1 is grab the pistol, 2 is bring it up, 3, and so on and so forth. And they walk through that a little bit, but they also work on drawing while on the move as well. And that's something that was really interesting for me. I've taken several different courses where we do draw on the move, but one of the angles that they took, and something that I really liked about it, was the fact that you don't have to move straight backwards when you're trying to create distance and drawing your weapon at the same time. Their philosophy is get off the X. I mean, you've probably heard that before. Get off the ambush area as quickly as possible. But one of the things that they like to do and what they like to teach is get off of the X by moving in a direction that's an assailant may not anticipate. So moving to the left or the right at a 45-degree angle is something that they were teaching. I really liked that. It is something that I wasn't expecting, and I really did appreciate that aspect. The next thing that they work into is reloading drills. If you are a person who likes to dry fire or dry practice, whichever term you like to use, you typically will do some type of reload, and I think it is very, very beneficial to really solidify those fundamentals. Now, what they do is they'll do a 1 reload 1 drill, and then they also do 1 round bill drill as well. So 1 round, reload, and then 5 rounds as well. So I really liked that aspect, and it's a change from some of the other courses that I've taken as well. The next thing that they worked on was the concept of engaging multiple targets. So you have one over here, you have one over here, and the idea of firing and transitioning. Now, one of the things that a lot of people get stuck on is the fact that they will fire at a target and then wait for that feedback to come to them, whether it's a steel target or a paper target, to be able to see where their rounds are hitting, and then move to their next target. And one of the things that Tyler and Parker really harped on in this particular section of training was to fire, and as soon as that second round is launched from your weapon, immediately transition to the other target. If you need to go back, you can always go back to that first target, but the intention is to be as quick and accurate onto a target as possible. Move to another target, another danger, assailant, whatever you want to say, and engage that target as quickly as possible. If you need to go back, then you can. So I really liked that instruction, that piece of instruction as well, because typically when we're on a range or we're indoors shooting at an indoor range or whatever the case may be, we're always waiting for that feedback from steel or paper targets. And that's something that could be a detriment in your training. So something to keep in mind, and something I really liked seeing in their bit of training. The next 2 areas that they talked about was the use of cover and movement to cover as well. So there is a couple different things that you have to take into consideration while you are out and about in your daily world. Naturally, if you're going to get into a situation where you have to use your firearm, you may need to use some type of cover to not only protect yourself, but also your loved ones as well. So they don't go into all the different types of cover, but they do talk about the difference between cover and concealment. Obviously, if you've been in the military, you do understand that fact, but if you haven't, the difference is concealment only disguises your silhouette, right? It's not going to stop any type of round. So standing behind a curtain is concealment, right? But it's not cover. Cover is something that will stop projectiles coming at you. So that's something that you need to keep in mind. Number 2 is, if you are behind a piece of cover, something that will protect you, you don't necessarily have to be right up on it. You can be a couple of feet away, and that will allow you to pie around that piece of cover to get a good effective shot, and also utilize that cover to protect as much of your body as possible. And that's something they get into as well, exposing the least amount of yourself in those types of engagements. Then they go into the idea of moving from one piece of cover to another piece of cover, and the different considerations that you need to think about while you're doing so. How are you carrying your weapon? How are you moving? In a lot of cases, if you do any type of IDPA or pistol competitions, you have to always keep that pistol downrange. Well, in the real world, downrange is all around you. So, I mean, where are you going to hold that pistol? One of the things that they teach is keeping that pistol right up against your temple, if at all possible. One of the things that you can do is take your thumb and put it against your temple so it's nice and tight, or put the mag well against your temple as well. That keeps it clear of anyone around you while you're moving from one piece to another. And I really did like that aspect of it. Now, naturally, you're not going to do that for every specific situation, because you may be inside, there could be a second story, you don't want to shoot through the ceiling and into the floor of the second story. So those are some considerations that you have to take into account while you are moving about wherever you are. So that is basically the gist of a lot of the different things that they taught in Defensive Pistol 2. And they culminate the entire training with the Bear Solutions drill. And what that is taking one of the Bear Solutions target. I think that you can download it off of the Bear Solutions website. But it's going to be 2 rectangles and then a circle in the center of it. And I believe, if I remember correctly, at 5 yards, you have to put 6 rounds in one, 6 rounds in another, and 3 rounds in the 1-inch circle. And you do it for time. Obviously, each miss adds time to your total time. And it is a great way to kind of put some stress on you while you're shooting, to be as accurate as you possibly can and be as quick as you can. But it also gives you some idea of what you need to work on as well. I didn't do the best on the Bear Solutions drill, but something that I am working on to become better. One of the things that is difficult for me is the pistol that I used in the course was my standard EDC. It's my Glock 19 with RMR. And one of the things that you have to take into consideration with using this type of pistol with a red dot optic is the offset, right? Your dot is going to be, you know, 1/2 inch or so above the barrel. So you have to compensate for that on short ranges, you know, 7 yards and in. You have to compensate for that distance right there. So, had a great time with Parker and Tyler. I sure do appreciate them inviting me out to take a look at things. I highly recommend you guys check out SNS Training Solutions. Again, they are in the Kansas City area, and I think that they are going to not only provide you with really good quality instructions, but they're going to do it at a cost that is not going to break the bank. Again, you're going to spend probably more on ammunition than you will the cost of the course itself, and that's something I really did appreciate. So let me know what you guys think. Who have you guys trained with, and is SNS Training Solutions something you guys are interested in? Sound off in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think. That's really all I got this time. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll catch you next time. As always, freedom through strength. Here comes a high five. Later, y'all. Bye.